Well, howdy everyone, and welcome to the channel. Wanted to talk to you today about my grounding system for my electric fence chargers. And I showed you my fence charger across the road, which is a Zariba fence charger. And this one on this side of the road, I got two pieces of property as a side note that are split by a county road. But the barn on this side of the property, I have a Gallagher M560 charger. It should power 75 miles of fence, and it has 5.6 stored joules, and I'm telling you, this thing will pack a wallop. So I had power in this barn. I got power coming down the 2x4 here, and then I've got a surge protector that the fence charger plugs into. And then on the positive terminal, I've attached a double insulated wire, aluminum wire, that goes along this wall to the back of the barn, and I'll show you where it comes out on that end. And then on the ground side, I have the same double insulated wire that comes down beside this 2x4, and then I drilled a hole at the bottom to run that wire out to my ground rods. And I'll show you that here in just 1 second. Look what we have here. Two brand new twins. Just born this morning, just found them. One of them's doing good and sucking. The other one looks like it's probably going to be doing good. So this is the second set of twins I've had. Had a set year before last with another cow. These look like they're probably going to do okay. Boy, they're match set. Pretty cool. So the wire I use is a double insulated hard cable made by Gallagher. It comes in a 330-foot spool, and the diameter of the aluminum wire is 2.5 millimeters, and then it's got this red coating over the top of that wire, and then a much thicker black coating. So again, double insulated, and this is the stuff. Really well made. Should be corrosion proof for years and years. And I got this at our local farm and ranch store. I'm sure you can find it online. I've not looked, but this is the stuff to get. So this is the north face of my barn, and I ran that double insulated wire out the hole I drilled at the bottom. And then I drove a ground rod. These are galvanized ground rods. They're 8 foot long. They got a sharp point on the end, and I drove them in with a fence post driver till the fence post driver was touching the ground, and then drove them in the rest of the way to this height with a sledgehammer. And I could have gone deeper and just had just a little bit sticking up and would have been reasonable. But for reasons I can't remember now, I stopped right where I did. So we took this ground wire. I skinned the insulation off with a pocket knife, so I had bare wire that I could connect with a galvanized clamp to the galvanized rod. And you can see that wire down in there. Let's see if I can get it to focus a little better. That's captured by that clamp against the galvanized rod. And so I have 3 galvanized rods at 10-foot intervals. So here's 10 foot away. Same rod driven the same way into the ground and attached with the galvanized clamp that captures the wire within the insulated cable and attaches it to the ground wire. And then another 10 foot away, I have another ground rod, and we did the same thing there. So there's 3 ground rods for my system. I have them at the north side of the building. since this side of the building doesn't get the direct sunlight typically as much, and there's a lot of moisture in the ground deeper because of the runoff from the roof. So that's how I set up the ground system, and that has worked really, really well for me. I want to show you where the insulated cable on the hot side comes out, and what I did was ran it down to the bottom, drilled another hole, and ran that insulated cable inside conduit, and I went in there, trenched it, and came up over here where my high tensile wire is. So this is just a barbed wire division fence. You can see the pasture out there, but we came up with this conduit, and I pulled the insulated cable up to my 12 gauge high tensile wire, which is this wire here, and I don't want to touch it or it'll knock me on my tail end. And I attached that with these little clamps that we apply with the crimping tool, and then that high tensile wire is attached to both ends of this fence where I want it with this cable system. You can buy these ready-made. They're a cable system. You just thread the cable like you want it to go around that post, and then the high tensile wire goes into this sprocket, and then you ratchet that tight and get it to whatever tension you want. So that really makes it easy. So I got my juice coming to this wire, and I've got two 35-acre pastures on either side of this barbed wire fence. This was an existing division fence, so I didn't have to change anything, and I'm running my wire right between the third and fourth wire from the top of the barbed wire part. And this wire has no use to keep the cattle off of this fence. Its use is to power the rest of my electric fence as I'm dividing these pastures up. So I've attached this high tensile 12 gauge high tensile wire with just insulated fence post clips. I got a little pin you pull here that captures that wire and keeps it in position so the cattle can't knock it out. And then that wire runs all the way down to this next gate. So I got a very short span on my high tensile wire. This is probably only, I would guess, 30 or 40 yards. And that's all I need. So I hook onto this fence, and then I can run the rest of my electric fence with the poly braid anywhere I want. So you can see the poly braid starting here on a terra post. I got the Gallagher reel, and then the poly braid's going on down as I divided this pasture into another paddock. And so on this end, same thing, we got the cable system. This one did not need a ratchet, so it just needs an insulator here to run the 12 gauge high tensile wire through, and again then attached it with the crimping tool to double back on itself. So that makes a very, very nice attachment there. It's clean, it's easy, and you can get those components online or at most electric fence outlets. And so we come over here, then I've got my terra post in the ground. I've got my jumper cable attached here, and if I touched anything on this reel right now, it would knock me into next week. And then I run that jumper cable from there to the high tensile wire there. So that's all I need, and I've got an unbelievable amount of power. I just tested this a minute ago. Take one of my video didn't transmit the sound, so I'm doing take two, but I just put my voltmeter in the ground right here, and I'm getting 10 kilovolts right here, so 10,000 volts. And I promise you, those cows, they don't challenge this poly braid anymore. They see it, and just the physical appearance of it is enough of a deterrent to keep them off of it. The calves are hitting it, and you'll hear them beller, but they only hit it once generally. So I just moved the cattle into here. The pasture I just moved them out of is grazed a little shorter than I want, but we're at that transition part of the year where the grass isn't keeping up quite yet. So I held them here just a little bit longer to give this pasture time to catch up a little bit. And so we're in pretty good stead now. Got 2.5 inches of rain day before yesterday. This grass is really coming on. This is jigs right here. This is where I unrolled some hay, and you can see the jigs loves that unrolled hay. And it was nasty looking during the winter time because it was just old hay that was left on the top of the ground, but it's totally been incorporated into the growing grass. It's providing nutrition for the grass. The fungi and the bacteria love it, and so they're doing all those symbiotic things down below the surface to make me hopefully not need any fertilizer. This is going to be the first year that I am planning on not putting any fertilizer at all out. We'll see how that goes, but it's too expensive to use anyway, and I just want to totally get away from it with regard to promoting the regenerative ranching and trying to do things naturally. So that's what I have for you today. Ground rods, most important part of your fence. And one thing that I failed to mention is when I touch this fence, if I touch this fence, the reason I get a shock is I complete the circuit between the fence and the ground rods that are against that barn. So the circuit is from the fence charger to the high tensile 12 gauge to the poly braid to me, and then it goes through me and it goes back to that ground rod, and that's what completes the circuit and shocks the animal or shocks me. So just giving you some helpful tips. I hope that helps you, and I hope you enjoy these videos. I really appreciate you riding along with me, and stay tuned. We'll do it again. Have a great day.